So hey guys, I was asked recently about my audio setup here. So I did a video about the SM7B Shure microphone and how it's kind of challenging to actually power. It takes a lot of amplification, a lot of gain, so you need a really good preamp, otherwise you get a very noisy audio track. So I'm going to go through and explain to everyone what I'm doing personally for my audio chain. I'm in my home studio. It's just for personal use largely, but I have laid out the audio chain that I'm using for my Shure SM7B. This audio chain kind of was built piecemeal, so it's not what I would recommend someone go out and buy themselves exactly, but it might be an inspiration to people who are trying to build their own. And my setup is fairly inexpensive. So to get started, this here is the Shure SM7B microphone itself. If I go around the back here, you'll see that there's two switches. One's a low pass, one is a presence boost. I like to use the presence boost. I also have it hooked up to this mic stand. I got it at Best Buy of all places, really cheap. At the end here I added a counterweight, and that lets me extend the arm much further. It's a very flimsy stand, so without the counterweight it wouldn't be able to hold the mic out like this. I personally prefer to use a stand with a long arm than a mic arm that has like a spring that you see like by like the Rode PSA1 for example, that you clamp onto your desk. By having a stand I can move it around the room and have a lot of flexibility. It also doesn't shake when the table shakes. So yeah, that's the first part. I have that going from an XLR cable down into the very first preamp, which is a CloudLifter CL2 microphone interface thingy. So this little guy is about $300 for the CL2. I got this for 200 Canadian used. It has two ports. So the CL1 only has one port. For most people, one port's probably enough. For me, I do some multiple microphone setups, so this allows me to do two microphones and get some preamp on that. So it does 20 to 25 decibels of clean gain. It does require the microphone you're using not use phantom power. So you either have to power it with a battery or you have to use a microphone that does not need phantom power like the Shure SM7B. So power for this thing gets provided by the next item in the chain. But this is really important if you don't have a good preamp, because the Shure SM7B is going to need a lot of power, and this provides it. So following the chain, I have a small short XLR cable that goes to the input of a Mackie Onyx 1220 mixer. This is a pretty old mixer. It does have a digital firewire interface in the back, but I'm not using that. I'm just pretty much using the strip here for the 4 XLR inputs. I got this used for pretty cheap again. You might be able to see here that there's 40 decibels of gain, and I have phantom power turned on, 48 volts. So the 48 volts is powering the CloudLifter, and then the CloudLifter is giving me about 20 decibels of gain. This is giving me about, the moment, up to 40, but I have it set to around 30. So I currently am pushing about 50 decibels of gain, maybe 55. And if I want to, I can have EQs, and that's being sent out here. Now it does have an extra 10 decibels here I can turn on, and it does have the main mix up, which has also 10 decibels. So this mixer could supply 60 decibels of gain. It's using the Mackie Onyx preamps, which are pretty good. A mixer is kind of heavy duty. Again, I'm using it because I might want multiple inputs. Occasionally, rarely, I might need that. It's also kind of nice to have what I'll show you in a second, which is the stereo outputs. But if you're looking for a setup, you can get the CloudLifter, you can get the Mackie Mixer Blackjack, which is just 2 inputs, preamps, and a USB interface. This is FireWire, as I said, is probably overkill for most people. Anyways, from the Mackie mixer, stereo channels, which is kind of nice. It turns the one output into two outputs that are essentially the same. And from here it goes into an MAudio MTrack to USB interface. So this cable is a TRS cable. You can't use XLR to plug into this device. You need to use a line level TRS cable, so TRS cables. So the MAudio MTrack 2 I got at Best Buy also. Just it's close and it was dirt cheap on sale. Dual inputs. It has preamps, really crappy preamps. I think they go up to 55 decibels, but you can really only get about 30 to 40 decibels of gain before noise starts being added. It does have a pretty noisy noise floor to begin with, which is unfortunate, but the device is so inexpensive and it does what I need that I'm letting it slide. Technically, I could use the MAudio and the Mackie mixer and not use the CloudLifter, because combined I have 55, let's say 30 decibels. I have 60 decibels here. I would have more than enough to run the Shure. I did that in my earlier videos actually. It worked perfectly fine. The CloudLifter just lets me have more breathing room, and I don't need to crank or use the MAudio device pretty much at all. I am, however, having the MAudio MTrack set to the Unity position here, so this is essentially no preamp, and I am juicing it a little bit here. This allows me to send to the computer over USB two different volumes essentially of the same audio recording. And so if I speak too loud and this goes red, I'll have a safety track that's 10 decibels quieter as a backup. So this saves me from needing to buy a compressor or a limiter to prevent against distortion if I speak too loudly into a microphone or if I bump it. I can just switch to the safety track for that portion and bypass the distortion. I can do the compression and limiting all in software, which I can do on, if I follow the USB cables, on this Gigabyte Brie mini PC. It's fanless, solid state drive, absolutely dead quiet, and it plugs into this retro old LCD, 19-inch LCD display. Everything's dead quiet, it's a membrane keyboard, not the quietest thing in the world, but it works pretty well. And as you can tell, I'm running Audacity, so I'm capturing at 48 kilohertz, 24-bit, and there is still going to be some noise when I end up capturing sound with the Shure SM7B. There's just noise gets in. The room I'm in does have a sound insulating ceiling. It has sound absorbers on the walls. Still, there's a little bit of room noise, and then there's also just noise in the chain I have. It's a long chain. Noise gets into it. If I shortened it, I probably wouldn't have as much noise, but then I wouldn't have the functionality I enjoy. I could buy something like a Tascam or a Zoom microphone that has a safety track functionality built in. That's more expensive than what this setup cost me. The MAudio MTrack 2 device and the CloudLifter actually are powered by just USB. So if I want to, I could actually connect them to my phone when I'm on the go. And I actually have essentially a field recorder that I can throw in my backpack and do recordings that way if I need to. So as far as I'm concerned, this is essentially my field recorder, because I can use it with my phone. Any noise I do get, there's an audio track plugin you can add to Audacity. It's about $150 US. It's called RX5. There's a few other versions, but RX5 plugins. It's by a company called Isotope, I believe. It has one of the best noise reduction algorithms on the planet that I know of. It's designed for dialogue. And so what that essentially allows you to do is drop your noise floor about 10 decibels without really any alteration, any artifacts, any digital compression really being added to your video. Now the entire audio track is being recorded with the Shure SM7B microphone, and I am taking off some of the noise using the RX5 plugin in Audacity. So again, this is being recorded completely with the Shure SM7B microphone and this audio chain. So thanks guys.